What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Misfit Mansion. I am your host, who definitely does not have the most and is totally broke, Izaac Doherty. So, today I want to talk about, what do we want to talk about here? What are we going to talk about right here? Coffee. Caffeine. I've been having stomach issues and just not COVID related. I've tested myself multiple times thinking and freaking out that I totally have it. I've got these symptoms and shit. One time I was for sure I had it, went in, tested negative, and no way, shape, or form am I saying in any way that you should just rub off. If you feel like you have symptoms and shit, that's just negligent, and you should go get tested. Especially since the word around the block from the cool kids, the fucking politicians, is that not politicians actually, scientists, is that COVID is, from what it looks like, here to stay and stick around. And is what's going to have to be treated very similarly to the flu. Fucking great, eh? Fucking awesome. But, so these stomach problems, though, not COVID related. And just would notice, because I would start my morning off with coffee on my way to work, on my way to my day job. And literally I would go maybe an hour or two, something like that, without eating anything at work or having a snack or whatever, and would just drink my coffee. Granted, my stepdad in middle school and stuff got me into drinking coffee, so I would drink it navel black, like I could, if I was a girl, I could do my mascara looking into my coffee cup navel black, like army oil slick, like the shit that the soldiers are sipping to go over to steal the oil from motherfuckers. That's what I'm drinking in my coffee cup. So literally I'm going by second period, I'm wired and my knees shaking, and I'm fucking either laser focused on whatever the fuck my teacher was talking about, or laser focused on 15 other things that I didn't want to be doing in that classroom. But nonetheless, the shit would get you zooted. And with how I drink coffee and I don't eat, I know coffee is heavy acidic and so my train of thought is, okay, I haven't been eating like garbage. The coffee, it may be the coffee. And I've quit caffeine, quote unquote, before COVID started for a month. The fuck? Oh, oopsie. Didn't know that was on. Got ghosts up in here. Shit. If I got ghosts, can y'all help with some laundry sometime? I don't care if you hang, but I'm gone relatively 8 hours of the day, so if you're gonna haunt, could you at least start doing some of my laundry? Help me out a little bit with some laundry, feed the cat. Clean up around the place a little bit. Give me some fucking horrible nightmares and wake me up in the middle of the night with some fucking issues and floating heads and shit. But if you're helping me with my laundry and taking care of my animals, I guess I can let you have your ghost fun. You know what I mean? I can't feel too bad about it if you're helping around the homestead. But to paraphrase what I'm saying is that I just noticed these random waves of nausea, and a couple weeks ago, one time after I ate a meal, and I was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I actually thought it was COVID. I would eat a meal and then just my stomach would turn over, boom, and I'd be mega nauseous. And I've always had a strong stomach, even with heavy drinking. Late nights out and getting fucked up and eating a bunch of shit food and waking up, and I've never been the sick in the morning guy, and I've only thrown up from drinking a handful of times, and if it's because I was drinking a lot of things. But So I cut out the coffee, and my stomach did get better. And I'm thinking, because I think back at with what I've been doing at my job and how I started drinking coffee a lot more, and I'm like, shit, I'm drinking a 40-ounce thing of coffee 5 days out of the work week, like half of the 40 ounces before I even eat anything every single freaking day, which is probably just bombing my stomach lining. So, long story short, or short story long, whatever reason you come to listen to a podcast, you know what I'm saying, is that I cut out the coffee for about, all of last week pretty much, give or take, like having a Rockstar or a Monster or something after I got off work, but like in the mornings and shit, completely cut it out. And then yesterday on Monday was like, was it yesterday Monday? Yes, yesterday was Monday. I was like, I'll have a cup at work, which is just regular coffee, as I call it, that you can still kind of see through, that you don't use to look under doors like 007. Pardon me. Spy work. Be looking off the mirror you put in the ceiling into your coffee into your coworker's cubicle if you're a pervert. Anyway. I had 1 cup of regular ass coffee, 10 ounces, and quite literally, I'm noticing like, when I get home, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make a podcast, I'm gonna practice these songs, I'm gonna work on this session, then I'm gonna notice like, I'm like, whoa, walking around fucking like, a little uppity this morning. It's crazy how regularly you drink coffee and you don't pay attention to how much it actually affects your body, especially if you're that daily coffee drinker. And then, like, trust me, I've for the longest time have been my morning does not start until I have my coffee. Do not speak to me like you're speaking to 2 different people after I've had my coffee. I've been that guy. I've totally been that guy. Kind of still am that guy in a sense, but also am doing other shit. But, like, the big thing with the caffeine, though, is that you have that natural influx of caffeine all the time. Like, over the weekend, I had a Rockstar. No, Red Bull. I had a Red Bull. 24 ouncer because I'm not a fucking pussy, okay? I'm an American, okay? I'm patriotic in some instances. You grab the 24 fucking ouncer. You're going to bomb yourself with all that taurine and all that shit. Fucking go for it, man. And do you, bro? Straight up, I noticed I'm walking around my apartment and I'm like thinking in my head about the songs I want to work on and shit. I'm looking around and then I notice like, I am, whilst doing the dishes, switching out my laundry. So I have both washer and dryer both open. Laundry in between being put into the washer and dryer. Laundry being put into the empty washer. From like have the hamper ready to put more laundry into the washer. Whilst also rounding up the rest of the clothes in my room. And then noticed I was grabbing a scooper and a bag for the cat bag while making laps, going back and washing a couple dishes and putting them in the dishwasher. And then, like, I stopped myself and realized I was simultaneously doing, like, 4 fucking things. It was like, So I see. Interestingly enough, too, actually, I've heard some things about with caffeine with sleep. Things about where the fuck did you go to school? Jesus. Literally with literally like totally like literally like oh my god like if you have not listened to the Nazi sex dungeon episode yet with my good friend Kurt, go do that. It is a long one. It's an hour long. We are having a couple of drinks, so some topics go a little off kilter, but all in all, it's a great podcast, great story. If you want to get to you got to listen to all of it, but if you want to get to the goodies, it's about 15 minutes in when the story starts. But from the whole thing is great. Give it a listen if you want some laughs, need some entertainment on a Friday afternoon. But, boy, did some caffeine. It, the half-life of caffeine, whereas you smoke a cigarette and the half-life of the nicotine within an hour and a half, there's half of these might not be accurate, but this is a representation of half-lifing if you don't remember biology or fucking chemistry. is it's the half-life of the nicotine. So you smoke it, and within an hour and a half, there's only half the amount of nicotine in your blood. And then within 75 minutes, no, not 75 minutes, 45 minutes. Within 45 minutes, so half of that 75. Fucking math. Okay. So within an hour and a half, there's half of it, but then within 45 minutes, there's half of that half. So it's the gradual decay of the how it metabolizes in your body and breaks down and yada da da da. With nicotine, I think it's in total like 6 some hours or something close to that figure. But with caffeine, it's a whole like 24 to 36 hours almost, and I'm pretty sure it's like really close to 24. And it has to do with the receptor that is blocked in your brain from the caffeine particle that lets lets hormones to your brain to tell it that you are tired and such. And even though the effects that you feel of the caffeine have worn off within like an hour and a half to 2 hours per se, the actual caffeine chemical is still blocking that receptor like 18 hours into your day. So say you got up at 6, right? And you go to bed at 9, 10, 12. Say you go to bed at midnight. Yeah. So you get up at 6, you go to bed at midnight. And that caffeine particle is still blocking that receptor that regulates hormones. And I'm not trying to make this sound like that coffee is bad for you entirely, because it does have good antioxidants in it, and I thoroughly do enjoy it. But this is just interesting shit that I find about caffeine. And so until you come to wake up the next morning, which is at 6 a.m., which is very close to when that caffeine would be wearing off, it's just starting to wear off to where it would be it's worn off, but it's just starting to completely metabolize down to the point to where it unblocks that receptor. But then within an hour, you pour your next cup of coffee. So it continually compounds. And then there's also like relation in between that being why a lot of heavy caffeine users will wake up in the middle of the night, or it's very hard to actually get a good night's sleep. But you know what's weird is that I'll fucking have super vivid dreams or have reached REM sleep because I can clearly dream pretty intensely and then still not sleep that well. What the hell is up with that? Like, I'm reaching REM sleep, but I'm not at the same time. But then again, it could also be affecting how much REM sleep I get. Maybe I'm only dreaming the periods of time that I actually reach REM sleep. Who knows? Just some thoughts about caffeine, man. It's probably not where we thought this episode was going to be going today. But like, this is a difficult thing that I find is like, how do I want to put this? How hard you are with like on yourself with certain things, like such as coffee or having a beer, and say, these are very bad examples. Let me reword this. So, an example being, perfect example, cheese, right? Cheese and the lactose takes a certain amount of time to coronavirus! He's nauseous, he's coughing, he's call the CDC, man, he's gotta go. This guy can't hang. But so cheese takes a long time to metabolize, get broke down by your liver, right? So say when you're drinking a lot and eating a bunch of food, your liver prioritizes the alcohol first, but then also is going to spend time after the alcohol breaking down the cheese, which is distracting it from more working. But it is difficult to not be hard on yourself when you learn that. Because, like, I would always drink and order a pizza. We're watching a game. Let's get some beers. Let's order a fucking pizza. We're out at a fucking bar having Jaeger bombs and doing whatever the fuck. Let's get some nachos and shit, right? I find out the more and more that I find out about fitness, the more I have this little voice in my head going, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And I had a big health nut phase. But the problem I find is that I find myself getting stuck talking shit to myself in a certain aspect that in a different situation, if I didn't know the information, it wouldn't be a big deal. Like, it's always been known that if you drink alcohol after a workout, you're greatly inhibiting your gains, and it's not the best for you. But ever since I found out it completely halts protein synthesis, it weirds you out. Even though The Rock works out every day, and I'm absolutely not saying he drinks every day, but the man owns a tequila. And he will enjoy a glass of tequila from time to time, and he works out every day. It's like I'm almost too hard on myself. But also, it's how you talk to yourself in your head that I have a problem with. Because I forget where I heard it, but someone was like, think about if you were talking to your girlfriend or like your sibling, the way you talk to yourself in your head. And I was like, oh, yeah, I could absolutely work on that. Like, I could absolutely not calling myself a lazy piece of shit in my head for not wanting to walk around my apartment building as I drove past my mailbox that I could have stopped at. That is only like, it's like 100 feet away. It's actually completely across the street and down the street a little bit because it's an apartment complex. But at the same time, I drove right past it. I looked at it, acknowledged I drove past it, parked. And then when I thought, like, even though I need to be better about it, I have at least try to do 2 cardio days where I run 2 or over 2 miles throughout the week. And that's another thing that I'm very hard about myself with is exercise. And I watch everybody. I watch Rogan, I watch Goggins, I watch Jocko, I've been watching Athlete X and fucking so many lifting channels for the longest time, and motivate Arnold, of course, the great Schwarzenegger, CT Fletcher, all the greats, big motherfuckers. And there's a whole list, The Rock, but there's a whole list of big motherfuckers that like got all their discipline and their motivation and this and that, but then I have to stop myself from calling myself a bitch too much in my head, even though I may be, but I have to stop myself from calling myself a bitch in my head because I think, okay, dude, this whole time you could have been not working out. This whole time, even though, say, throughout the whole fucking year I only ran, say like 4 or 5 miles a month, so 60 miles in the whole year. If I wasn't going to the gym and exercising, period, I wouldn't have ran 60 miles at all. Even though I haven't seen all the fucking gains that you see everywhere else, even though I've been going to the gym for a very long time. And it's also the work you put in the gym and your nutrition, but even though I'm not seeing the gains, I am stronger, I am healthier, I do look better. Like, all these, there's so many things that I like look past and don't acknowledge and like am hard on myself on. And I know I can't be the only person that's like this. But like at the same time, there is an absolute part of you that has to be that voice in your head that gets on your shit and tells you what the fuck you're doing. Like you have to have that voice in your head that calls you a little bitch sometimes. And like, pretty sure there's very woke people today, and not that I'm not gonna start the woke argument on this episode. I wanna talk about that with somebody instead of this being a rambler with just you and I. Oh my, oh my. But like, la LA Fitness. there has to be a push. There's an in between, but the big thing is that I think I am way too hard on myself in my head, but also I need to pay more attention to how I talk to myself in my head. Big time. Big time. And on that, like, along that same train with that is progress. And I guess in that sense is acknowledging, in the entirety of that, is acknowledging the progress made. But with that, I was thinking about this today, is that on the I guess it's time to speak. I know this has probably been regurgitated and said somewhere else, but I came to it with my own thought process today, and I am sticking with it. Even though someone's probably said it or it's on some fucking quote somewhere, I thought of it myself today. I know it's not an original thought collectively, but it's an original thought I came up with by myself. And it's that if you tell somebody you're going to make a sculpture, they only want to see the sculpture and they never want to hang around to watch you make it. A, because that'd be fucking boring. Duh. But primarily what I'm saying is they only want A to B. They don't care at all about what's in between A and B or the space that it takes to get from A to B. So it's the same principle of everybody wants a castle, but nobody wants to watch you build it. You tell people that you're going to have a sculpture and they don't believe it till they see it, but nobody ever wants to see how you do it or be around or along with you while you do it. Like, you're not going to be amazing at something right when you start out. So, like, it's something else along the lines of everybody wants a book, but they don't want to give you any criticism about the first draft. I guess that's a better one. Is that everybody wants you to write a book, but they don't want to give you any criticism back about the first draft. Or they don't want to be with you along the way, or when the first draft comes, they just tell you it fucking sucks. And maybe the second draft you make it, and they just tell you it fucking sucks. Or that they believe in you and want you to succeed in the sense that they want you to succeed, but they don't think you're going to succeed in what you're doing. Like, they hope for you to succeed because they want you to succeed, not for you to succeed at what makes you, like, what you're actually doing. It's like they don't believe in what you're doing, but they want you to succeed, but they don't genuinely, wholeheartedly support you in that sense. And I guess a lot of creative individuals in all aspects feel that from their family, especially if they don't come from an eclectic creative family. And like, that also, like, I was thinking about this one day too, is that it also runs along the lines of, like, I was listening to Steve-O's Wild Ride, just hearing some of the stories, and we've all seen Steve-O, and we all love fucking Steve-O. Why? Because Steve-O does Steve-O shit. That's why. Steve-O's a fucking gangster. But no parent wants to have their child be like Steve-O. Or there's, like, no love for that child until they're famous for that shit. In the sense, like, I guess in a way that an example would kind of be Billie Eilish. Is that, and I'm not going to attribute all of this, but I will say that this helps. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that she is not a talented musician. And that, to a degree, I do enjoy her music. I think it is kind of just the mainstream avenue for girls that wish that they were more goth and dark than they really are, but that's just my personal opinion. But as a fucking metalhead, to be totally honest, but her parents and whole family is a very creative musical family. And if you're completely brought up in a house where neither of your parents played an instrument, neither of your parents did theater or paint or have a creative side to them, like your mom's a fucking accountant and your dad's a fucking doctor, Like, unless you have wowzer natural talent that's going to blow your parents away, they're like, oh, maybe we should invest in this. There's going to be very little support, especially if you genuinely tell them that you want a musical career. And to grow up with parents that were in the music business or musicians themselves, you're going to have so much more of a nurtured environment for that creativity and artistry. So I will very fractionally contribute part of her success and launch off from being in that very creatively accepting, nourishing environment. And her brother helped her write the first album, if I'm not mistaken, which is also another bonus point. But I don't want to make this completely sound like I'm talking down on her as a musician and her talent and her skills in any way, shape, or form. But her initial takeoff at Catapult most certainly could have been more difficult if she wasn't in those circumstances, is all I'm saying. But, and that's what tying that with everybody loves Steve-O for being Steve-O and doing Steve-O shit, even though nobody at all would want their child to be that way until it started making dollars. But that's a different level of acceptance than, I understand that's a different level of acceptance than Billie Eilish. But my example is Stones. What? Elisa Lam. Oh, yeah. Y'all been watching that shit? Y'all watch that documentary about Elisa Lam that they put on the Netflixy? Thought it was interessante. Like, I knew about it a little bit, but also, like, didn't know all the details. But this is what I think about the documentary. What I think about the documentary is that what is it, like, what's the purpose? What's it for? Who is it for? Because I would personally not, if I were her parents, I would not want my daughter's disappearance to be used in a sense of a cash grab, even though I'm not saying it's a total cash grab. But, like, the whole entire appeal and the insider of, like, the whole online community that formed, like, we want justice for Elisa Lam and finding out what happened and how they this and that. And I'm like, okay, you're making Facebook groups. Pardon. You're making Facebook groups, but you're not protesting outside the hotel and demanding all the unadulterated footage, you're not doing anything. You're not trying to find people that were staying there. You're not trying to, like, find you're not, it's, I don't know. But it's retrospective back to the point in time of when they were doing it. But, like, I would not be happy about to be put on public display in the way that it is. But I don't know. I haven't watched it in its entirety, but I just find it difficult to try to find the point of what they're trying to convey. Of, was it a ghost? Was it somebody? Was it a murderer? Is it haunted? Is the hotel hiding information? Why did the tape look the way it did? Who knows? Find out tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just find it difficult to find the direction of what it's about. Kind of like our fucking politics, man. I just find it difficult to find the direction of what it's about. Like how Trump apparently wants to start his own fucking party. Like, it's like, hey, guys, like, but, like, we got, like, 8 other of them that don't get anybody into primaries, but, like, I mean, like, Their like voices are like silenced, man, and like this guy like just gets to start his own fucking party, and half the fucking Republicans are just like, yeah, we'll go with you, man. And we got like independents and so many like there's like I don't even know because you never fucking hear from them because the two big dogs on top. You're gonna start a fucking party and try to contend with 3 primary parties when there's like plenty of other independent parties that get silenced over the mass majority. Is fucking hilarious. I love that Death to 2020 scene when the chick's like, oh, this show that the Americans it's really crazy. It only happens every 40 years. Or whatever the fuck she was saying. Oh, man. You know what that makes me want to do? Drink alcohol. But that is not how we handle our feelings now, is it, ladies and gentlemen? What do you think this is? This is Scotland over here. It's America. Only our daytime alcoholics live off bayous, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's America. I love the line from Jim Jeffries' Freedom. I forget what country. I think it's Bangkok. It's not, I forget what fucking country. It's something along the lines of Amsterdam. He's like, yeah, you can fuck a prostitute while smoking a blunt in front of a cop, and it's all legal. And I'm just like, huh? Lol. That's a giggle. Just like how the most free country has the most populated prison systems, most incarcerated people. But also, what is hilarious, I forget what country, but I heard this one country, I heard it today in some like fun fact thing on the news, but this one country has hangover days, like a floating holiday, but a hangover day. They have a fucking hangover day, aka you get too drunk at work, not at work, excuse me. You get too drunk, and then you call into work on your hangover day, and it counts as a paid day off. And it's supportive because they're like, you're being legitimately honest with your superior, and you're not lying to them. And I'm just like, oh, how nice would that have been? My goodness. The ability to actually call into work. Fucking, oh my goodness. The amount of times that so many people I know could have used that. Oh my. The hangover day. Yeah, boss. Yeah. Another 2 12-packs. Yep. Me and Jerry. Yeah, we're just gonna need the day. We'll just take the rest of the week. Yeah, we'll pick up our checks on Monday. Don't worry about it. Oh yeah. You hear bottles falling in the fucking background and shit. Get paid. Sounds like a dream. Life is but a dream, floating on a stream like this stream you see all day. If you know that melody of what song that is, you are a gangster, because I'm going to spoil it. It's of the System of the Down. Today has been a rather nice day in Indiana. The snow's starting to melt. This has been another lovely day in the Misfit Mansion. Thank you so much for hanging around for the rabbles and dabbles and prattles and straddles and whoa, where are we going with this? Of this guy who barely knows how to make fucking English work. I have been your host, who is definitely not getting the most and totally fucking broke, Isaac Doherty. I hope you have a lovely day. See ya later.